Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation about the project management. We're going to talk about key notions regarding the project management. Let's see the agenda we have today. The agenda today is, first of all, we're going to define the notion of value. What is a value created by a project? Then we are going to see together how this value is created within the information flow. We are going to describe internal factors impacting a project, also external factors, and how the value is created within the organization, key points regarding the notion of project management, and project management principles. So I hope you will enjoy the presentation. So let's start with the value and what is the value. Anytime you will implement a project, you want to change the state of an organization from a state A to state B. You want also to deliver value to your stakeholders. So, what is the value? The value can be the newness, outcomes, or efficiency you bring to organization processes or to organization services or products. There are also daily benefits or positive impact you can bring on the organization or on the environment around the organization. But it's important to notice that the value is closely linked to the strategy of the organization. You will bring value only if you are aligned with the strategy of the organization. So, to summarize, what is the value you bring? You will bring a new product, you will bring a new service, you will improve a process, you will improve a deliverable, you will have a positive impact on the society, on the environment, you will have a positive impact on the organization. This is how you bring value by implementing a project. So, as we have seen before, the value is only if you will be aligned to the strategy of the company. This is only how you bring value to the stakeholders, to the company, is when you align to the strategy. So let's see together how you decline the strategy from the goals of the company to the projects, portfolios, operations, or program. First of all, you have a strategic dashboard. In the strategic dashboard, you will decline the vision and the strategy of the company with four aspects. The first aspect, the first part is the financial part. So you will define how to succeed financially. You will define how to be efficient with your internal processes. You will define how to achieve the vision to appear to customers. You will also define how to grow the company. But first of all, you have a vision, you have a strategy, and you will decline this strategy and this vision into financial, internal processes, grow, and customers relationship. So how is the declination made? First of all, you have objectives. One of the objectives can be, for example, to improve the customer experience. After this objective, you will define some measures that will characterize the objective. For example, you can say that to improve customer experience, you will improve the delivery time. After defining this measure, you will define a target for this measure. You will set a target. For example, you will define that you will deliver anywhere in the world in less than 72 hours. less than 3 days. And also, after this target, you will have to launch initiatives. Initiatives are action to be taken to sustain the goal and reach the target results. For example, automatize the delivery information system. Those initiatives are projects, but can also be objectives, tactical objectives that operation have to comply with. So those initiatives are projects that can be grouped into program, and with operations they can be grouped into portfolios. So if we summarize, you have your objectives that are concerning the whole company, that are more portfolios level. Then you will decline them into measure. For each measure, you will set a target. For each target, you will launch initiatives where projects will be implemented. So, how is the value created within the information flow? It's important to notice that your objectives at strategic level have has to be declined into tactical goals that the operations or the projects will try to reach. So first of all, you have the strategy part with strategic goals, challenges, and constraints. Those aspects, those characteristics are going to help to define some portfolios with expected outcomes. Those portfolios are, are including programs or projects. In program or projects, you have to define resources that are going to be used by the programs or the project. You have to define deadlines and you have to define budgets. Also, within this portfolio, you will find operations where you have business processes that are going to be improved and operational tasks also that are part of business processes. So, how do you bring value? How do you create value within this framework? You have your portfolios with expected outcomes, you have your program with deliverables, and you have your operation with adjustment and fixes. So when you decline portfolios and you create programs and projects, you have to focus on expected outcomes. Program and projects will help you to bring deliverables, and operation will help you to fix or adjust the business processes. And after doing this, you have to measure or to analyze the performance of your program and projects, but also of your operations. And this performance analysis will help you to assess if you are aligned to the company strategy or not. So to summarize, from operation to portfolios, the benefits, value, outcomes, performance analysis is conducted in order to better align the operations to the strategy. So let's talk about some internal factors that are impacting a project. You have several factors that can impact the project that are internal. For example, the expertise that you need to implement the project, the internal resources, the processes, the security, the governance, the data, organizational charts. So these factors are internal to the company where the project is implemented, and they will impact the project. But you have also some external factors that impact the project. For example, the market shares, the regulatory constraints, or the industry standards. It's important to identify those internal and external factors because they will help you to tailor an approach to implement your project. So, to implement the project, the organization will provide people that will steer the project, also people that will represent a different customer interest, people that will concretely implement the project, and people that will contribute indirectly with the expertise, the knowledge, the skills. So, a project that is implemented within an organization has a governance framework, internal system, and here we are talking about the type of human resources that we will find around a project. And also, those resources, depending on how they are affected to the project, they are set to the project, will bring value to the project. So, key points regarding the notion of project management. The notion of project management is linked to many notions, for example, the outcome. So, it's important to have to define the outcome first before defining other aspects of a project. So the outcome is the benefit that the project is aims to deliver. You will also have a notion that portfolio. The portfolio is a group of program, projects, and operation with a strategic goal attached to it. You will also have the notion of product. The product is different from a project because you will launch a project to you will implement a project to launch or to improve a new product or services or new service. A program is a group of projects that have the same goal. And what is a project? Only is a temporary activity implemented to create a unique product, service, or result. So project management is more all the methods, all the approaches and tools aiming at delivering the intended, the expected outcomes or benefits. So you have to master these notions of project management. They are really important. Also, we have to understand that the project includes and involves a project manager that is the leader of the project and is responsible for achieving the project objectives. You have the project team that will implement concretely the project. You have the value delivery, as we have uh, defined before. The value delivery is deploying the strategic goal, making sure we are delivering a product, a service, a process, a deliverable that is aligned to the strategy. Also, the stakeholder. The stakeholder is anyone who is impacted by a project outcome. And you have customers. Customers in the end are going to benefit from a project. As we, are, as we have seen before, a project is also sometimes to launch a service, a new service, to increase operational efficiency, or also to launch a new project. So the customers are people, are the stakeholders that are going to benefit in the end from the project. So let's talk more about the notion of project management. Project management involves some other notions like deliverables, outcomes. So a deliverable is the component that that is part of the project. So it can be a prototype, it can be a model, it can be a software, it can be a document, it can be research results, it can be a product. So the deliverable is the component that is expected that will define, be part, or characterize the outcome expected from a project. So the outcome is the benefit that is expected from a project. We have to distinguish the notion of project management and product management as we have discussed before. The product management is handling, managing a product in the market with always four phases. Those phases are introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. The project management can be bringing a new product to the market, and life cycles of project management depend on the type of outcome, deliverable, benefit that you will have linked to the project. So project management principles. The project management principles involve a holistic view. So you have to see the project as a system inside the organization, which is also a system. So a subsystem of the organization with relationship between project teams and stakeholders, with communication, with resources, with budget, with deadlines, with requirements. So a project is a subsystem of another system that is the organization. You have to see the project in a transversal way, in a strategic way. So what is above the project, how the project contribute to the organization. This is the holistic view you have to define for the project you are going to implement. Some other notions are really important. The team, how to set a team focus on project outcomes. The change the project will bring the organization from a state A to state B. So you have to manage the change. You also have some notion like the leadership is really important. It's not the management, but the leadership is the influence, the positive influence that some members of the teams or external to the teams, the project teams can bring to the project. The stakeholders that are going to benefit or are impacted by the project. You have to be value driven. You have to take into account the quality that the project is going to bring, quality of deliverables, for example, and other notions like risk that are important because when you implement a project, depending on the subject, you have some risks that are threats or opportunities that can happen within the project implementation. You have to manage the complexity also because depending on the complexity of the project, you will not take the same decisions, you will not have the same quality, you will not have the same leadership, and depending on the complexity, the approach you will choose for the project will be different. This is more the part of the notion of tailoring. So let's see each of the principle and let's go deeper with the definition of each of the principle. Let's start with the leadership. Nowadays, the leadership expected from stakeholders is more the stewardship. So what is a stewardship? It's more caring about the project, really being involved as if the project was a personal matter. It's also integrity with stakeholders, with the team, integrity inside the communications in order to build confidence around the project. You also have the notion of trust. So the project leader should inspire trust to the stakeholders. You also have the notion of transparency. Transparency. So everything should be written or published or clear or explained to anyone involved in the project. You also have the compliance with the organization, the compliance with the constraints, external or internal to the organization, and the leader of the project should have a global view on all factors that impact the project and that the project impacts in the end. Let's talk about the second principle around the project management, which is the team collaboration. You have to favor team collaboration when implementing the project. Anyone that is part of the team project will bring a set of skills that will be useful for the project. So if they are not skilled enough, you have to put in place a learning system. You have to define agreements, like it's like a team charter, to make sure that everyone agrees on main point of the project, on how the project is going to be implemented, and also how the team is going to work together, what is expected, what is authorized, what is not authorized. You also have a matter of team structure that you will have to organize in a certain way to favor the team collaboration. You also have to define clear process on how people will work together, who is responsible, accountable for which task, who should be informed, or who has only to be consulted. So the rest matrix should be really defined so people will know what is expected from them and which tasks they are responsible for. There is also a notion of ownership. So, ownership because you have different skill resources in different domains. You also have different periods when you acquire resources. So, everyone should be committed to the project. So, you have to pay attention to the notion of ownership when building a team for the project. Another notion is the stakeholders engagement. So, as we have seen also before, stakeholders are people impacting or that are impacted by a project. You have to identify your stakeholders. You have to measure the influence and the power of decision, power of action. Also define how to communicate with your stakeholder, each of them, and also measure, maintain, monitor the commitment. We have also seen that the project is about bringing value to an organization, bringing value to stakeholders, bringing value to customers. So, how is this value defined within a project? First of all, we have the strategy with goals and objectives. We have the needs that are more what a stakeholder is expecting to work better or to produce efficiently. You have justification for a project. You also have business cases, deliverables, and benefits. So all these notions are linked to the notion of value. Project management principle also involve the holistic view, and the holistic view is to see a project as a subsystem in a system which is the organization. So the project team should be aware of the interaction inside the project and between the project and the stakeholders, but also between the project and all the projects, between the project and the other parts of the organization, other processes, other activities, other operation, other portfolios. We have talked about the leadership previously, that the leadership that is expected nowadays is more a caring leadership. A caring leadership will help each resource of the team, each human resource, if each one to grow inside the project, to be trained, gain skills, but also to be able to contribute efficiently. So the leader is the project manager in his role, but also anyone in the team that will influence positively the project. So, what is tailoring? Tailoring is to find the better approach, the better deliverable, the better framework, the best approach, the best deliverable, the best framework that will suit to the project level of risk, project requirement and scope, project deadlines, project budget. So it's really important to tailor. It means to adapt the implementation approach to the project characteristics. So let's talk about the quality. We can define quality as the level of satisfaction the product or service final users or the conformity to acceptance criteria defined by the final users of a product of or a service. So quality is more what and which level is expected in the compliance to the need of the stakeholders. So first of all, you have the compliance to the need of the stakeholders to the requirement, but quality is the level of compliance from expected by the stakeholder. This level can be performance, conformity, reliability, resilience, satisfaction, uniformity, efficiency, sustainability. So it's more we expect a deliverable, but we expect it as stakeholder, which is certain level of performance, a certain level of conformity, certain level of reliability, resilience, satisfaction, uniformity, efficiency, and sustainability. So this is how we define quality. So it's important when defining the needs to also define acceptation criteria that are going to set quality level expected from the project outcomes and expected from the project teams, expected from the project deliverables. So it's important to have some metrics that will measure this quality. Another project management principle is managing the complexity. So the complexity of the project is more human interaction, but also technical interaction and uncertainty and ambiguity. So the project team should really pay attention to these factors because they bring complexity to the project, and these factors, this complexity should be monitored. Let's talk about the risk. Any project involves a risk. Risks are opportunities or threats. So, how to catch opportunities, how to reduce the impact of threats. This is how we manage a risk within a project. So, it's important to know that a risk should all risk or most of the risks should be identified. We also have some risks that happen that were not identified by the project team, but you have to list, identify all your risks, and prepare risk response for each risk that is identified. The risk response should be appropriate, should have a positive uh, effect, should be realistic, and should be agreed. And it should be also owned by some a responsible person. So if the risk is the threats happen, you should have already anticipated the risk response. Also, it's important to handle the change that the project brings to the organization and the change inside the project implementation. So, you have to favor adaptability and also resiliency inside the project teams. So, how do you do that? You have to implement short feedback loops. You also have to learn and improve continuously. You have to set preference to skills, teams, so with specialists in for each area. You have to inspect regularly to identify area to improve. You have to favor transparency on plannings in order to commit to stakeholders. You also have to implement flexible process. You have to anticipate the potential scenarios and prepares for eventualities. So you really have to pay attention to the fact that the project will bring the change to the organization, but also you move from a phase to another phase when implementing the project. You have to make sure people are still skilled for these phases. You have to make sure that you can handle any situation that will appear when changing. You have to make sure that people are learning and they are improving themselves. You have to favor transparency. So each goal was clear in the beginning, but also will remain clear. The monitoring will remain in place and so on. So we're talking about enabling, about handling the change. Now we'll talk about enabling the change. So enabling the change is allowing the project and the organization to move from a current state to a future state. So, enabling the change is taking into account the target outcome and also the target expectations, target requirement, target needs of the stakeholders. And also, the change should support the strategy. Not every change has to be accepted. Okay, so see, if you need more, please contact us.